Been together so long we can't pretend. Remember the way we used to move, dance all night like young lovers do. Your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, he'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me, baby. Smoke and mirrors, pretty lights. Another runaway city boy getting too high. But boys like you tell pretty lies. The 5 a.m. low in your eyes says your heart is changing. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor, baby. Mr. DJ, you'll get me through. When the beat's gone, you can't save me. Now we don't dance like we used to. Silent disco on the floor.
This is Broad Radio. For you, by you. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Good morning and welcome to Broad Radio. I'm Jo Stanley and I'm thrilled that my co-host today is Annie Louey. Hi there, Annie.
Hey, great to be back. Thank you for having me on again.
I am thrilled that you're back because, geez, you make me laugh.
Oh, we haven't even started yet. I haven't said anything funny.
Well, we've talked before now.
That's right. Yeah, that would be weird if you didn't. You just ignored me until we're on. I'm like, I'm here, Jo.
I was like, save it for on air. Don't even look at me.
Gee, there's a bit of Ellen energy going on here.
Is that what Ellen's like?
Yeah, apparently she doesn't want to be looked in the eyes.
Oh, I don't know if I believe that.
There's a lot of controversy going on. You got to catch up on this celeb gossip.
Oh, man, I'm so behind when it comes to celeb gossip because I just don't believe it and so I just don't read it. But then also I go, maybe if you don't want to look at someone in the eyes, maybe you're focused on getting ready, you know, and there's a reason. I always feel like people are doing their best.
In people, yeah.
Don't you?
I don't know. I'm writing a bit of gossip about you right now. I'm uploading it to the internet.
Well, anyway, today is a day for, I think, caring for the heart and the mind and the soul and the body. I think today's show, it's if you're feeling a little bit tender, if you're feeling like your body's a bit weary or achy, today's show is for you because we're all about, I think, acknowledging that we're fragile creatures.
Deep, yeah. There was a bit of a health theme in everything that we're talking about today, and I've got a lot of questions and I want to learn more about people's perspectives, especially around mental health and physical health.
Yeah, it's true. So we're going to be talking about swimming with dolphins and how it may alleviate depression with the amazing writer, comedian, TV presenter Jennifer Wong, who we both adore. In fact, I adore all of our guests today. I've got no favourites. That feels weird.
She's got favourites.
We are going to be raising funds and awareness for endometriosis with Director of EndoHelp Foundation, Stanley, no relation. And we're protecting our boobs when we play sport.
Boob armour. I love this phrase.
Well, that's my phrase. The official term is impact protection garment with the founder of Zena Sport, Donna Johnson. So that's going to be a great day. I'm really excited. We're also giving away tickets to your Fringe Festival show.
Oh, it's 2 days away at Melbourne Fringe. So I am so happy that we can give these double passes away and someone can come along for one of the 8 nights that I'll be on.
Okay, so the way we've been doing this, we're giving away tickets via our subscribers. So if you are lucky enough to be on our subscriber base and you receive our weekly newsletter, you would have received a little thing say, hey, click here and you can enter and go in the draw for these amazing double passes. you could always subscribe anytime you like, broadradio.com.au, head along. And we do often do giveaways, actually. So we're very grateful that you have provided these tickets to our subscribers. And this is the question that we asked, which I love. That this is from the brilliant mind of beautiful Ro, who runs our marketing, and she's just a ripper, I'll tell you that for sure. But anyway, this is her question, right? To enter, are you in the habit of flirting with death? Now, we should explain why that question was there.
Yeah, the title of the show is Flirting with Death, and it goes through all of my experiences with death and near-death experiences. And so, yeah, this is a great topic. This is a new take on it around whether or not you like to do dicey things, whether you're an adrenaline junkie. And I would say I'm probably more of an adrenaline junkie than most. Like, stand-up is very much like that. It's like going into battle, you know, and it could end terribly. And I was talking to another comedian, Ivan Aristogueta, and he said that his therapist told him that only two occupations are similar in this like weird adrenaline crazy way, which is boxers and stand-ups. Like, what's wrong with us? Like, you're just going out there just like getting punched in the face, but we keep doing it.
That is so true. What a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I stopped stand-up.
You didn't want to get punched in the face anymore.
I know, call me crazy. Because I'm just not, I couldn't handle the anxiety around it. And in the end, I was like, why am I doing something that actually is torture?
Yes.
Even though I love the joke telling and I love the performance. I do a version of when I do keynotes. But, you know, when I do corporate, all that kind of world, I insist they don't call me like I'm not doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Because I want to surprise them with jokes.
Yes, that is very good. Set a low bar.
That's right. Yeah, I want no expectation of funny.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, she's funny. I didn't expect that.
Yes. Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
And also, like, my therapist told me that, like, oh, but if you didn't do this, your anxiety would be worse. So it produces anxiety, but it also alleviates. So
In
it's
what
like,
way? How does that work?
in a way, because like if I wasn't doing it, I'd feel like I'd have no purpose in life, and the anxiety from that would be much worse. So he's like, keep going. It seems to be good for you.
Yeah. Do you have? I mean, you have to have strategies though to manage that, the anxiety around the performance.
Yeah, for me, it's like falling back on the rational. Like, does it really matter that much if you bomb? And in particular, back in the day when a lot of the gigs were unpaid, it's like, well, they didn't even pay a ticket price, you know. So like they get something for absolutely nothing. Like
That's right. Yeah. How good can it be when you're not even paying?
That's right. You get what you pay for.
So these were the questions that we had, like, how are you in the habit of flirting with death? We had, you know, it ranged from I'm straighty 180, flirt with death, I would never, right to hand me that fork, I've got an electrical outlet that needs inspecting. Like someone's just gone, yeah, I'm looking death in the face. I am so risk averse that basically the joke in my family is that I don't like fun.
Oh, you don't like fun?
Because I don't do rides, I don't swim, I don't go underground, I don't like heights, I don't like speed, I don't like the wind, I don't like I just like basically.
So going out on a windy day is a very risky thing for you.
Oh, I do not enjoy that. But like we will sometimes take as a family, you know, my daughter to a theme park.
Yes.
And I'm basically the handbag holder. I would not go on a ride ever.
So you happily watch your child getting thrown around.
She loves it though.
Yeah, with G-forces and
That's
everything.
It, yeah. And once I had to take her to the show with just her and me because my husband was working and she was desperate to go, and I thought, I'll be a good parent, I'll take her. And so then the whole day I was like, okay, I'll do that ride. And
the teacups. I'll do it.
Totally.
I'm ready to wipe myself up.
I went on like literally a kiddie ride and it went up quite high, I thought. And so I was like, you know, white knuckling on this thing. And I'm looking around at 6-year-olds who just going, woo, this is the best. I'm like, oh, God. It's not my thing.
I mean, you listed quite a few things that I do relate to as well. Like, I thought you might have been a swimmer. You seem like you might enjoy the beach, but I just stay away from that stuff. I'm like, I'm happy on the land.
Yes, the water, no.
Yeah.
Because there are sharks there.
There are sharks there. Also, like, there's this popular movie on Netflix right now that came up. It was called No Limit, and it's about free diving, and somebody dies. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. That's why I'm very happy.
Yeah, I'm a land dweller most definitely. So, okay, so no risking here, although you do get up on stage, and we do recommend you head along and go and see this show, which is in Melbourne. Are you going to tour it?
It's very untourable. I have a very large set piece that's a larger than life coffin, so it's hard to take on the road. If someone wants to pay for my petrol fees, like 100%, I'll take it anywhere. but I'm preparing a new stand-up show that's very portable next year because I've learnt my lesson now. I just want to be able to go wherever. The jokes live within me.
Yes. Yeah. You can't fit a large size coffin in an overhead locker.
No, definitely not. Although we did think about it, but that would be very, very expensive. And these people are very technical. They also make the sets for the gala, so they're like way too into it, and they're like, yeah, we'll put hinges, all this. I'm like, this is getting out of hand. Like, we don't want you to paint it with anything that's smaller than a brush the size of my palm. Like, you know, they'd be like doing the detailing work on it, and we're like, no.
Yeah, no one's going to see that.
Yeah.
Yes, people got to love their work, though. I love that. All right, well, let's get to our first guest, who also is a stand-up comic and so faces her fears every day, I'm sure, and she does puts herself out there, as all creatives do, but she's also an amazing writer and TV presenter. I absolutely love her work, and she is a part of a gorgeous analogy called Admissions, Voices Within Mental Health, which the editors say their intention is radical empathy, inclusivity and generosity. What beautiful words. Hi there, Jennifer Wong.
Hello.
Good morning, Joe. Hello, Annie.
Hi. Jennifer was the first ever comedian I interviewed, ever, as a student journalist. So we've come full circle today.
Yes.
Quite a moment. Who would have thunk all those years ago, Annie, that this is what would eventually
eventuate. Yes, this is the moment. Here we are.
You've made
We've
it,
been practicing, yes, for the last 10 years.
Jen, your piece is called Swimming with Dolphins. Can you tell us about it without, I suppose, spoiler alert, but it's beautiful and honest and funny and very heartwarming. I loved it. But can you share what it's about?
It's about the idea that I found one day in a Beyond Blue brochure about things that do and do not work for the treatment of depression. So it goes through and kind of debunks a lot of things. You know, does lavender work for depression? Does acupuncture work for depression? And then as I continue to read, it came up with the idea that perhaps swimming with dolphins could alleviate depression. And as you might have guessed, when I was picking up this brochure, I was experiencing quite a lot of depression, which is why I was looking for help. And it occurred to me that it would be a very cruel joke if one of the only things that worked to alleviate depression was the idea of swimming with dolphins, because I'm very much a land dweller like yourselves, and I do not live near the ocean. I do not live near dolphins. It would be very difficult for me and for many other people on Earth to access dolphins as a form of depression treatment. And so I guess I got a little bit carried away with this idea, and in fact was going to do it for the Melbourne Comedy Festival in 2018. I started to write this show about swimming with dolphins, learning to swim with dolphins by correspondence as a way to kind of, let us all, in on this great activity. But the irony is that my depression got really bad and I had to cancel my shows, and I ended up going to hospital for depression. So the idea of having this piece in the anthology is quite meaningful to me, because it means that I got to the other side of it eventually, in terms of recovery and in terms of being able to do something creatively with the idea that I had before I went to hospital. So it sits alongside the writing of 115 other Australian people, including Grace Tame, Fiona Wright, whose piece about face blindness I adore. There's poems in there by Omar Saka, Omar Musa, Ellen Van Meerven. So it's chock full of things to read that might make you go, oh, that's amazing that other people have felt what I feel and continue to feel what I feel. So I hope the book finds the right readers.
Yeah, especially, someone who's another Chinese woman experiencing anxiety and depression. Like, I feel like it's not talked about enough in our communities, and that stigma, it's still very much with us. Like, my parents wouldn't understand it other than, mental health equals being mental. Like, we talk about it. So it's such just like trying to reframe all of this. And how do you talk to like your parents about what you're going through?
Well, in the beginning, it started off with using a word in Cantonese which simply means I do not feel comfortable. So I would be saying I don't feel comfortable, which can also mean I don't feel well. But it's a very kind of large like descriptor, I guess, in as opposed to when we say depression in English, we kind of know exactly what we mean. And that's because in Chinese, I didn't have the word for it. In fact, I looked up the word for depression in Chinese and then purposely forgot what it was because I like to think that the Chinese part of me is actually not depressed. It's the English speaking part of me that's depressed. So, you know, I think I've spoken to doctors before and they've said that a lot of Chinese people, when they present with symptoms of depression, the way that they communicate them to their doctor is kind of more the physical symptoms of, for example, a headache, a sense of heaviness, perhaps an upset stomach, a lot of fatigue, you know, those kinds of physical symptoms, as opposed to the idea that when we go and do those tests when we're at the doctor for, you know, diagnosing depression, it asks questions like, do you feel unbearably sad? You know, do you feel like there's no hope? You know, those kind of more emotional, emotion-related questions. So sometimes I wonder if it's because of a language thing that, you know, those aren't the things that come up immediately for someone who has depression, you know, perhaps if they're speaking a language other than English. But yeah, the way I talk to my parents about it has been quite gradual. And the thing that helped me the most was that eventually I randomly got paired with a Chinese psychiatrist in hospital, and she got them to come in and she explained to them in a combination of Chinese and English what was happening to me. So I can't explain how much it makes it easier when you're not the one kind of trying to reason and advocate for your own illness. You know, it's kind of like at that point in time, I wasn't probably the most articulate anyway. And so to have this psychiatrist explain it to my parents in language that they could understand was really, really helpful. And I think, you know, it's just about talking to them, I guess, about what it actually, how it manifests for me. You know, it's different for everyone. And I guess it is easy if you talk to your family about what it actually looks like for you, because then if you have early warning signs that you're about to relapse, they can kind of go, oh, you know, I noticed that you've been sleeping a lot lately. I noticed that you've been not eating as much. You know, I wonder if there's something that we can do to help you get back on track, you know.
I
it is
saved that article that you wrote before you brought it up. It's been on my phone for like a month, and you found some really helpful parts of it too.
Well, yeah, you did write this beautiful piece for abc.net.au, 10 Things I'm Slowly Learning While Recovering from Depression. And absolutely, it is an incredible resource, Jen, because you break it down into some really critical things to understand for, I think, people who have lived experience of mental ill health, but also the people that love them. But you speak to, you know, having someone really being an advocate for you, because you're right, when you're in it, you can't necessarily speak on your behalf. And I think that's what's so important about this anthology. You know, the editors say that we are talking more about mental health more than ever before. But it's usually the medical side of things. It's not people with lived experience, which is the purpose of this anthology, right? To get the voices out there. And so what do you feel like needs to be said? What do you feel we need to hear more of from people with lived experience?
Sometimes I think that, you know, even for all the anthologies that exist, you know, say that there were 10 of these, you know, would our lives be better? Would the world be better? And I'd say definitely yes, because, you know, you'd be able to dip into read about more and more experiences from different people. Like, for example, Annie, you were saying, you know, how do you talk to your parents about it? Well, like one of the editors, Radia Chowdhury, who's from a Bangladeshi background, she also says that in her language, there's no word for depression. But I think, you know, and then all the ways that she tries to describe depression to her parents. But I think at the base of it, it's really funding is the thing that's probably going to help the most number of people, right? Like there are so many kind-hearted people out there, you know, in our day-to-day that we encounter that could lift our spirits, you know, on a bleak day. But at the heart of it, it's just like, you know, does everyone have access to housing, to food, you know, to a sense of connection through work? You know, are everyone's basic needs covered in order so that they can actually be in a situation where their mental health doesn't take a dive because they're not worried about how much money is coming in each week. You know, they're disconnected from their family and friends for whatever reasons, that kind of thing. So it's really a holistic thing. You know, one of the things that I learned when I was in hospital was the idea that depression, one way to look at it is from a biopsychosocial model, which is that biologically there's something going on, psychologically there's something going on, but socially as well. What's going on in your life socially? You know, are you in a position where you're not connected to family or friends or colleagues? You know, are you in a situation where, you know, like I said before, you don't have access to those basic social things of, you know, does it take you ages to get to where you need to get to, and you don't have medical professionals that are in your region, you know, regularly, that kind of thing. So, yeah, like breaking it down like that kind of helps me now think about, you know, what are the things that are missing in my day-to-day that I need to work on in order to make it so that biologically, psychologically, and socially, I'm taking care of myself.
It's I love that you say that, Jen, because I don't think that is called out enough, that people are suffering from mental ill health because life is hard for them. And we sort of often hear a very middle class, white collar, very sort of privileged response to mental ill health. And yes, it doesn't discriminate. And yes, everybody at every level of society experiences that. But the reality is, if you have uncertainty about where you live and how you're going to pay the bills, it's going to be a lot harder, right?
Exactly. And I was in a very lucky situation where I was able to go to hospital quite quickly, you know, because I was seeing a psychiatrist who was able to get me into the hospital on a waiting list. And because she advocated for me, I was able to get the help that I needed. But there are lots of long waiting lists even to get a psychiatrist. So I was just lucky that I was already seeing one. You know, they're also prohibitively expensive. You know, education is expensive. So I think there are lots of things that we overlook. You know, by the time someone gets their act together in order to write an article about 10 things that they're slowly learning about recovering from depression, I think there are a lot of assumptions about, you know, lots of things have to have taken place for me to have written that article. I was able to access the health system relatively easily. You know, I have parents that I can rely on. I have a stable living condition. I never have to worry about, you know, how and where I'm getting food or shelter that night. So those are the kinds of things that I think about a lot, in that, you know, which voices are we capturing when we actually, by the time we get to read and see these voices, you know, which are the voices that we are also missing, you know, within these anthologies. I think the editors have done a brilliant job when you've got 115 people from around Australia, you know, ranging from Christina Anu on one hand to a first-time poet on another hand. Like, you've clearly reached out to a whole wide range of people. So that's the beauty of this anthology. But yeah, I do often wonder, you know, which are the voices that we aren't hearing, and who are the most vulnerable, and what do they need?
So well put.
It's beautiful. I really loved in your piece that we referred to, 10 Things I'm Slowly Learning While Recovering from Depression. You cannot will yourself well. I love that. Just that compassion.
I think sometimes we think that anything physical about our bodies is a failure of our desire to want it. You know, do we not want it enough? Do we not want to be well enough? Are we asking for this condition for whatever reason? And when I was told that, I was like, you know, I did feel a sense of lightness. You know, it's not something that I can sit there for, you know, 10 minutes and kind of go, right, this is the bit we're going to will ourselves to be well, and today will go well. It's kind of not like that. You know, I guess the flip side of that is the things that you can do, which are very physical and pragmatic. You know, instead of willing yourself well, there's this idea of BACE, BACE, which is like body care, achievement, connection, and enjoyment. So can I take care of any of those four things? Those four things, if I take care of them in one day, are more likely to get me to a state of wellness, more than sitting around going, you can do it, you can will your, you know, today I'm going to will myself to. So it does alleviate some stress in that way to have been told that in the past.
I saw that also Felicity Ward is a contributor to the anthology, and she is great at posting everyday stories on Instagram about how her mental health is going. And she was a person who made me realize, like, when you're in a bad, having not a great time, or you're having some kind of episode, you don't know that you're in it sometimes, so it's hard to even recognize. So if you focus more on achieving the wellness stuff rather than going, oh, I'm actually depressed right now, because when I'm in it, I don't know that I'm in it. It just feels like you can't really remember when you were feeling good.
Yeah, people like Felicity, I think, do a great job in real life and in her writing to give us language, I think, to be able to describe things that we're feeling. You know, sometimes I think that, you know, we don't grow up learning. Well, I certainly didn't grow up learning about words to describe my emotions or my physical feelings. And when you see, you know, a range of people write about their feelings and their emotions, you kind of go, oh, you know, actually I can be very specific right now about what it is that I'm feeling and what I can do about that. So Felicity's piece is really, it's a beautiful piece of work. Like all of Felicity's work, it's funny, it's thoughtful, it's reflective, gives you something to think about when you finish it, and it's really lovely to be alongside Felicity.
Oh, I can't wait to read it.
Well, the anthology is called Admissions, Voices Within Mental Health. I highly recommend you get yourself a copy and dive on into these incredible writers. I can't let you go, Jen, without acknowledging that recently on your Instagram, you shared a photo of my childhood. You didn't realise this, but it was this picture of the Parmesan cheese, the Kraft Parmesan cheese in a can or a jar. We used to have it in a can, but it sat in the cupboard. How is cheese okay to sit in a cupboard?
I've not seen this before at all, so both of you need to introduce me to this concept, which apparently is disgusting.
Oh, no, but it's disgusting but delicious. Weird. Smelt like vomit.
Someone said to me, does it still smell like vomit? And I said, yes, but it tastes of childhood, so it's okay.
It's true. Is it a part of your childhood too? For me, I saw that and I was smash bang into my 80s kitchen with the blue bench and it was just like unbelievable.
Yeah, it went on top of the spaghetti.
It went on top of everything, like literally everything. Where's the vomit cheese, we'd say.
And isn't that a great day for craft branding that they can, their broadcast to be known? Where is the vomit cheese?
That's the title of this episode.
You know it will be now. But at the same time, we were addicted to the cheese in the blue packet that equally sat in the fridge, in the cupboard. Like, I don't know what dark arts Kraft had that cheese never needed to live in a fridge.
Yeah, I believe there are a couple of preservatives right now that are like, oh, you're talking about me.
And the more preservatives, the more delicious it was. Yes. Oh, I love it.
This comes from.
Absolutely. Jen, thank you so much. It's been a joy as ever to have you on the show, and congratulations on this. I think it's really courageous the way you write about it. I don't know if that feels good to be told that, but I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Thank you, Simon.
Lovely
Thank you
to
to Annie.
up.
Bye.
Yes. Toodaloo.
I'm in a new stratosphere.
Now, before we get to our next guest, we have to give away some tickets to your show.
All
Oh, my
right.
gosh. And we need to say that the tickets are going to, these are two
drum
people.
roll, please.
I know, two people who are subscribers to our weekly newsletter. So you can head along and subscribe anytime you like, broadradio.com.au. And these two lucky people who are heading along to your show, Tara Powell, well done, Tara.
Congratulations.
And CD Kiernan, who is a person, not a CD.
Oh, yeah. Great name, though.
And both of those people said they like a life on the wild side, being known to walk on the wild side.
Well,
so
now you're being rewarded.
that's
So
right. They're heading
can't
along
wait.
to see your show, which is called Flirting with Death. I need to ask, because I've been on your Instagram as well. Do you roller skate in your show?
No roller skating in my show, unfortunately. I could find a way. Maybe at the end I could. That's how I leave. That's how I exit. But on the weekend I went and did some rollerblading / roller skating for the first time at the Caribbean Gardens Rollerama, and I haven't done it since I was about 10 years old, and I was very uncertain about whether it would come back to me, because I don't know if I have the best memories of roller skating with my friends. Like, everyone thought we'd broken our coccyxes at some point, you know. Oh, look, you've got a little image there. Yeah, so, like, the first half hour was spent going, no, I can't do this. But then by the end, it was like, oh yeah, I didn't stack it once. So maybe
there you go.
I've already had an offer from a friend to sell me some skates, so maybe this is me turning a new leaf. I feel like I missed the boat. Like, everyone was doing this kind of stuff during lockdown. They were going to the museum and skating around and things like that. But, you know, that wasn't a priority then, and now I've rediscovered it, and I reckon it's a skill that, yeah, people can pick up, like riding a bike.
But hang on. Were you good as a child?
I mean, I think I was very unafraid as a child, you know, and that's what I liked seeing from all these kids who are probably like 4 years old, and they're on the skates and they're just tumbling around, falling over each other, and you have less, you know, height to fall from. That's probably why you feel more confident. But yeah, give me some of that back. Like,
I know that life hasn't hurt them in the same way as it hurts us. But I think roller skating is one of those things where you see other people do it and be really good at it, and you think, how hard can it be, right?
Yeah.
And then you get on it and you realise, I'm really bad at this. And I was bad as a teenager, so why would I suddenly be good now?
Well, you've got more maturity. Your brain's a bit more developed, I think. You know, there's more skills transfer.
No. I was I was that person who wanted to do the speed skating and just got asked to leave the rink. You're not fast enough for this speed skating. And you know the ones who went backwards?
Oh, yeah, there was all sorts. There was like, they have a proper club that runs and they must train and everything. But yeah, the guys who look like they should be in a motorcycle gang, they were the ones who were doing the cool tricks.
Yes. All I wanted was to be able to go backwards and to do the couple skating.
Oh, the couple skating.
Yes. Never had a boyfriend to do the couple skating. So, yeah, I was the loser on the side of the rink going, I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. Did none of it.
Oh, you're a professional spectator then.
That's true. Yeah.
Is there anything you reckon you could pick up now from your childhood and you might be able to do it despite it being decades?
Well, like I've established, I don't really enjoy anything.
I don't enjoy anything. So.
What I'm very good at is sitting looking out a window in the sunshine.
Yes, and that's always been with you since you...
No one gets hurt that way. No one breaks their coccyx looking out a window.
With my respiratory issues, I know I have to quit smoking. And quitting before I'm 40 means I'll live up to 9 years longer. What will your future hold when you quit? Make your next quit attempt at Chemist Warehouse.
Broad Radio. Talking inspo we love, info we need, and sharing more of us. Watch and listen live every Tuesday 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time at broadradio.com.au, or find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn at Broad Radio Oz. Talk to us live. Call on 1300 8 Broad. Catch up on demand anytime, anywhere, every time, everywhere. On the train, we'll be here. 2 a.m. existential crisis, we've got you covered. Broad Radio. Here for more.
Well, I believe that there are some conversations that need to be had often and with as many people as possible. And one of those, I think, is speaking about endometriosis, which is a debilitating condition that many people live with and often feel as though they are quite voiceless when it comes to their lived experience. So we're giving voice to endometriosis and those that live with it today. And we're doing that with Kat Stanley, who is the Director of a fantastic organisation called EndoHelp Foundation. Hello there, Kat.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well. Tell me, can you give us a little summary of what EndoHelp Foundation does?
Sure. We're a fairly grassroots organisation in Victoria, but we work pretty hard to advocate for those with endo, educate those with endo, and empower those with endo. So we do it through a monthly support group for anyone with endo or any other kind of pelvic pain condition, where they can meet experts in the area and ask lots of questions and meet other people with lived experience. We have our Walk the World for Endo, which is on at the moment. And in the background, we've been doing quite a bit of meeting politicians and just talking to them about the lived experience of people with endo and what's lacking in the medical system at the moment.
It seems like there's a lot of research coming out at the moment. A lot of people are writing books about it, and it's really eye-opening. And yeah, even Triple J presenter, forgot her name, Bridget Husway, has a book on this, and it seems like, yeah, we're opening up the conversation, and I want to learn more about it. So yeah, I want to hear all about what the great work that you're doing as well, because I haven't come across this Walk the World for Endo before. But how do we get on board? Like, what have you been doing?
Sure. It actually took me about 18 months to come up with the idea. But yes, you can just Google Walk the World for Endo and you'll find our website. It's a super flexible walk, and that's because people with chronic pain have different abilities and they need flexibility. They might not be able to walk every day. You jump on, register, and you get a link to create a page. You decide how much and how often you want to walk across the month, and then you can share it across all your social media and share your journey. We have a couple of people that have just come out of major surgery, so their journey is going to be more about why they're only walking, from their bedroom maybe to their letterbox each day and what their recovery looks like. Where there's people that, like myself, that are healthy at the moment, and I'm trying to walk 5 to 10 Ks a day.
So, you talk about people with lived experience, and you're speaking with politicians, and there are sort of the crossovers around what we were just speaking about with Jen Wong there with depression, that it's more and more people are speaking about endometriosis, but I don't know if that's leading to an understanding of what the lived experiences are.
I think that endo is as common as asthma or diabetes, but it's only just starting to be discussed in the last couple of years. As you touched on, even 5 or 10 years ago, most people didn't even know what the word meant. So I think we are starting to get some traction, but change is slow. And to give you an understanding of the kind of stigma that we're dealing with, and I know that there's stigma around mental illness as well, but the word hysterectomy, which is a surgery that many people with endo unfortunately do have, comes from the fact that that was how we treated hysterical women, was to remove their uteruses in the early 1900s. And that sort of stigma sticks. So we're still trying to change that perception of people that turn up in ED or into hospitals with that kind of pain, that they're not hysterical and their pain is to be believed. The other thing is that the only way to diagnose endo is to have laparoscopic surgery. And so lots of people have scans that don't show anything and blood tests that don't show anything, and that makes it super tricky as well.
So when we talk about pelvic pain, because you work beyond sort of endometriosis specifically, what kinds of treatments are there for people who are experiencing this kind of pain?
Yeah, look, there's a long list of treatments, and because there's not been a lot of funding, we haven't researched. So at the moment, it's kind of anecdotal. Some people say some things work and some people say that they don't. A pelvic pain physio, so a physio that specialises in pelvic function and pelvic pain, is life-changing, and most people find that really helps. A psychologist can really help, and it's worth saying that that's not because your pain is in your head, but as I said earlier, if you don't have a brain, you don't have pain, and so psychologists can really help, plus help with the support of what it's like to live with a chronic illness and all the impacts it has on your life. Dietitian, acupuncturist, sexologist. Lots of people with pelvic pain have painful sex, and that really impacts their quality of life and their ability to engage in relationships, and you can imagine the impact that has. The list is longer than my arm of what you could have, and what we're really advocating for in Victoria is some multidisciplinary teams, so that you could turn up and a team will assess what you need first, and you could go around and each of the professionals will talk to each other. Because one of the things that we're finding in our support group is many people say that they almost need a second lot of 40 hours to dedicate to their own health, because managing their health becomes a full-time job, and having to repeat the story and repeat the symptoms with every single professional that currently are all working in silos is really exhausting.
Yeah, this statistic's very interesting in the article that you wrote for The Guardian about how it costs the Australian economy $7.4 billion annually. And that is a lot of time spent off work for people. So can you tell us a bit about what that experience for people is like? Do they spend a lot of time not working at all? Are they still pushing through it?
Yeah, lots of people can't work at all. We have lots of people that work part-time. Unfortunately, with the blowout of wait lists with COVID for surgeries, we have a lot of people that are cashing in their super to pay for their surgeries privately because of how long they're waiting publicly. And so the financial burden on the individual is $30,000 a year, and the updated financial burden on the Australian economy is now $9.4 billion a year, and most of that is lost productivity. So in one of our support groups, there was about 15 of us. And everybody in the group said that they were all masters qualified, no one worked full-time, and no one owned their own home. So that gives you a really big example of the impact it's having on the individual's ability to live to their own potential, plus earn the money that they, should be earning based on their qualifications.
So if you could, click your fingers and find as many solutions as you can for this incredibly, it's a society-wide problem, right? What solutions would you like to magic up if you could?
Yeah, well, the first would be that every person that went to a GP with any kind of pelvic pain was believed, which is because the diagnosis delay at the moment is 6.4 years. And then the second one would be that interdisciplinary care, so that you don't have to manage your own healthcare, and all those people, all those professionals are doing that work for you and having those conversations for you. Also, when you've got an interdisciplinary care model, which we've got a very small one in Geelong and one in Melbourne, the only two in Victoria, those professionals learn from each other. So they're not just working in silos, but starting to learn what a physio does, and that really builds on their expertise and means they can offer more to the individual.
I absolutely. I mean, that everyone is believed, that's a pretty easy thing to actually magic up. That's literally, that's just a change in attitude and education. Those two things, surely.
Yeah, it sounds a lot easier than it is, I think. Yeah, very hard to change. But yeah, that would be my number one.
Oh my gosh, my heart breaks. And I really love, and it's obviously the driver for EndoHelp Foundation, because so much of what you say is, we believe you and you are not alone. That's just...
Yeah, and that's based on my own journey of 17 years of being not believed and feeling really alone. And I don't want anyone ever to feel like I did, and to build that community so that people don't feel like that, because it's really isolating when you can't work and you're not fulfilling your potential and there's no medical reason why.
We believe you and you are not alone. That we're with you on this amazing, everything that you do, EndoHelp Foundation. I love your community, and I love how supportive you are. And this walk is incredible. I enjoy the fact that you can do it at your own pace. I have a friend who insists that we go power walking, and she's got elbows akimbo, and I'm like, enough cast day night from you, thanks.
Yes, you have to wear a special outfit when you go. A lot of polyester.
She's very, very, and I'm like, I want to go at my own pace. So, congratulations again, Kat. I love it when we catch up. I think you're doing incredible stuff.
Thanks so much, and thanks for your support.
It was great to hear about all of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. All the best with Endo. Walk the Wheel for Endo this month. Thanks so much, Kat.
Thank you.
Well, our self-care continues to an area that I wasn't aware we needed self-care, because I am not a sports person, as in I am a runner and a walker. I've never had to protect my body in the way that you would if you were playing sport, contact sport. But it turns out that you do need to protect your breasts just as you would any other part of your body, and it's why Donna Johnson founded Zena Sport with her husband. Impact protection garments for women is what she's making, and she joins us now. Hi there, Donna.
Hey, Donna.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
This is a revelation to me, that our boobs can be injured in the same way any other part of the body. Is this
Absolutely.
Is this what sparked your incredible creation?
Yeah, so it was something that I'd never given any thought to at all before. It was purely just around 5 years ago when the AFL opened up to all girls at all ages being able to play football, that I sat down and had a coffee with my best friend, as you do on a Monday morning, and we just were talking about weekend sport. And she had 3 daughters who had just started playing football, and I was concerned that they were in their adolescent years at a critical stage of their development, and they were playing so hard, yet they had no form of chest protection at the time. So it was just something that stuck with me. I continued the conversation with Brad that night. he encouraged me to look into it a little bit further. And that's really how the whole process started. It was never intended to be a business, let alone come up with a product. I just started researching, and there wasn't a lot of information, and there also wasn't anything on the market. So that just set us on the journey to do our own research project and essentially arrive at developing a product.
Yeah, tell us about what it looks like. What does it feel like to wear this garment?
I'll just grab one here. So it's a vest that's worn over a crop top or a sports bra, and it basically incorporates breast padding and also rib padding, which goes all the way around to the back. And PS pocket, because there's a lot of girls out there who like to record their performance, and we had such a great response from this and so much interaction with parents that we've recently just released our youth vest as well for girls between the ages of 8 to 13, because we found that when we went out and started talking to girls and women at various clubs, there wasn't a lot of information, and for us it's been a really big educational push to really take care of yourselves, and anatomically we are different to males, and injuries to the breast can cause issues for girls and women.
Well, can you explain that to me? What sorts of research have you got around what happens if the breast is injured in like a collision on the footy field?
Yeah, so initially we did our own research project because I wanted to be sure that, we were going to go through this whole journey for a reason. So we interviewed about 300 women, girls, coaches, parents, just to see whether this was something that was happening in sport. And we got back, the information we got back was that around 60% of people surveyed had some form of breast trauma. So it can be something like just bruising, scratches. It can also lead to lumps and cysts being caused. And we have had a number of women who have also ruptured their implants while playing sports. So we don't really know the long-term effects because, we haven't had enough time yet, I suppose, of women playing all these different sports to get that information. But it is important to protect yourself.
I just love the look of it as well.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, you're part of a SWAT team.
Yeah.
Like, no one mess with me. I'm going to just buy it and walk down the street.
And that was important to us because I know what it's like. You want to look good in something if you're going to wear it, and that's where we've been lucky. So our actual padding is created, I should say, with an injected molding. So the actual vest itself only weighs 160 grams. So it weighs nothing, yet it's highly protective. So we actually partnered with Deakin University to do all our impact testing, and just put it through, the rigors to make sure that it was going to do what we intended it to do.
Is that like crash test dummies, like impact testing? How did you do it?
Yes.
What were you doing?
So similar, it can go under a impact machine, but they actually had to do the study during COVID. So they actually had one of their PhD students rig up this big pendulum in her garage, and she had the vest on the vest on a dummy which had all sensors and things like that on it. So she did it crashing in at different speeds. So it changed from our initial research project. Obviously, with COVID, we had to make changes, but she still got the results, which was great.
You know what I love about this, Donna? Well, I love it for many reasons, but one of the things is it's about access, right? So,
Yes.
we are learning more and more about why women and girls choose not to participate in sport. And one of the
Correct.
things is often it's about what you have to wear, like particularly teenage girls. There is this dive in participation in sport because they don't want to wear the white shorts. They don't want to, wear the skimpy, netball skirts. But also, I suppose, if you're uncomfortable and you feel like you're not protected, you're not going to play the sport. And I love that you're opening this up.
Yeah, and it's a real confidence thing as well, I think. Like, it doesn't have to be impact from another player. It can be just, marking a ball on the chest. It can be falling on the ground. And I suppose that's where it's been great with our youth vest as well, is that, a lot of parents just have been able to see that confidence in their daughters growing. And that's what we want to keep girls in sport. We want them engaged. It's great for their, not only physical health, but mental health as well. So it was really important to design something that was going to look good, but at the same time, it can't be seen under their jerseys either if they're a little bit self-conscious.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, and in a way, this is kind of the theme of this show today, is that I think women are frequently told to just suck it up and deal with it, right? Whatever it is they're facing. And so something like, oh, my boobs are sore, or this is really uncomfortable for me. I suppose previously women have been told, oh, well, that's just what you have to deal with if you want to play sport. Whereas now you're saying, no, you don't need to put up with it.
And I think in the past, it just was never spoken about. So, if you hurt your ankle, you'd come in, you'd tell somebody about it. Whereas women were just suffering in silence, I suppose, because it just wasn't a topic that was spoken about. So that's where we're trying to really normalise the conversation, put it out there, and also just educate the girls, because it really is about self-care. And I think the best thing for us on this journey is not only has it been used in sport, but it's also been used by a number of women who have had breast cancer, who are recovering, because it's helped them with their sensitivities and their scarring just in that healing process. But also when they want to return back to sport, having had reconstructive surgery, they can do so just with that little bit of peace of mind. And we've also got some teachers at a special education school that are wearing it as well, just for those times where, some children might get that little bit of aggressive. They've got that extra layer underneath themselves as well, just for protection. Wow. So it's sort of taken on many different variations.
I mean, I just thought about how sore sometimes, like, depending on your cycle, like right before your period, your boobs are just so sensitive. So imagining, like, grabbing a ball or, like, tackling that, it's just, like, even if you haven't had any surgery, you're just going through the daily, monthly motions. Like, that's a very important part of it.
Yeah. So, no, it's been great. We've had a great response. So, thank you.
And so the AFLW has got behind this?
Yep. So they've licensed the product, and given our background with the AFL, I knew that it was important that whatever we used was going to have to be approved by them. So we engaged with them in the early stages of development, just to show them the samples and the concepts, and also the padding that we were thinking of using. So they were sort of with us along every step of that way to have it approved.
Do you see this growing into something you could sell internationally as well?
Yeah, so we're just at the moment scaling into the UK and into the US. It's the first of its kind worldwide. So there actually isn't any female-specific protective wear. So for so long, we've had to wear male shorts, male jerseys, etc., etc. So, we get a lot of comments from various people, wanting all forms of protective wear specific to women. So hopefully we can just continue to grow the range for specific different sports, and scale it globally.
Well, this is a story of a startup as well, which I absolutely love. As a fellow startup founder, Donna, congratulations on this incredible journey, because I do know from experience now that it's not an easy life being a startup founder.
Thank you. Definitely not easy.
So how long have you been working on this? Well, how long has your journey been thus far?
So it's been about 5.5 years so far, and 2.5 years since we launched. So it feels like we've been going forever, but when you start talking to people, I think we're still in the infancy of the whole journey. So, but we definitely love what we do. I'm lucky to have Brad. He just works full on in the business. He loves sport, and this is something that he's just incredibly passionate about as well. So,
often
great teamwork.
I hear about products that it's not the first thing they've invented. They've had a few failures along the way. Did you strike gold straight away with this, or have you been quite, entrepreneurial in the past?
Well, it's interesting, because I was a stay-at-home mum for, it feels like, a very long time while Brad played footy. And I think just before this idea and this concept came to life, I was in a really flat place, because I just felt like I had no skills. I was unemployable. What was I going to do? And then it was really just out of that coffee that this whole concept came about and came to life. So, yeah, it was one of those things that first time round, I suppose.
amazing.
But yeah, I didn't put pressure on myself. I didn't ever see it as a business. I just sort of kept chipping away really quietly. And then, yeah, once we sort of started to get into the thick of it, started sort of telling a few people. So,
But
yeah.
you know, that story just then, that little sentence that you shared with us, Donna, about feeling like you didn't know how to re-enter the workforce, that you had no skills, that you'd lost your sort of sense of self in a lot of ways.
I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Dolce, that's so common.
Yeah. And I just remember like some days being in tears, just thinking, what am I going to do? Because I've missed, I was probably out of the workforce for a good 12 years. My youngest went off to high school, and then I was just sitting here sort of thinking, I don't have anything. Like, do I go do a course? What do I do? But I suppose that's the biggest lesson in all of this is that, we've just learnt as we've gone along, and then we've also just put people in place to do the things that we didn't have the skills to do. And I suppose the biggest one is just to believe in yourself. So I think, I really saw potential in this and thought, my confidence started growing as I went along. But yeah, definitely I was in a really, really flat patch prior to this coming along.
That whole thing got me a bit emotional.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
But I think because, well, and the reason I'm sort of going down this path with you, Donna, is that I think that female founders are frequently women who have said to themselves, I need to change something in my life.
Yeah.
And where is there a need where I can change something in someone else's life, which is exactly what you've done. But they get overlooked. We get overlooked by venture capital. There's no investment in female founders. And it frustrates me because I think, God bless, yes, there are many amazing ideas that come from male founders. But when you know that only 4%, right, 4% of have we frozen here? No, we're there. Only 4% of venture capital goes to female founders, right? 4%.
Wow. Yeah.
So 96% of the funding is going to ideas from men. Now, I would say a lot of them are great, but not all of them can be. And not all of them are from people such as yourself who want to make a difference to other people.
Absolutely.
It
and I think
breaks
that was
my
the great
heart.
part. Yeah, the great part of that program that we were part of last week for the Her Startup was that, the other female founders that I was up against, their ideas were absolutely amazing. And, if we didn't win, I was just as happy for any of those, women to win, because just the things that they came up with were just, we need them. So it's great. And I think it really needs to be supported.
Yeah, you do refer to a program that you and I were a part of. I was lucky enough to be a finalist for the Her Story Startup program, and you're right. I just every day you're meeting women who are determined to make a difference and to change the world in the way that is right for them, which just inspires you, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, Donna, I love what you're doing, and I love that you're going into the UK and the US. I just feel like it's just blue sky for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we're right behind you. Look at that flash website you've got too.
Yeah, I tell you what. I mean, if I had a reason to buy something like this, I would totally go there. But my daughter's playing footy, and so
there you go. I'll send her a youth vest.
No, well, I will buy it. Don't send me a freebie. Do not send me a freebie. Thanks so much, Donna. You have a great day.
No worries.
Chatting.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
Oh, I love that. Oh, how awesome. What amazing women.
Very inspiring. I feel very uplifted.
Yeah. We're heading off into our day inspired by 3 women who are all doing something that's making a difference for those who perhaps need to be heard and understood a little bit more. Thanks so much for being with me today.
I learned a lot about you. Some unexpected things, actually.
What?
That you like to play it safe.
Yes.
And you're thinking about dyeing your hair back to normal colour.
I did go from blonde to now this, which I'm not loving. But I don't want to say that publicly because I love my hairdresser and I love my colorist. It's my fault entirely.
Yes. Well, one time I dyed my hair purple and then the color left within 2 days. I hadn't even washed it, and the hairdresser was like, "How did that happen?" I was like, "I don't know. I think the wind picked it up and like blew it away."
It just fell out.
Yeah, it just fell out. And I'm like, "Can we just go back to brown? Like, forget about this whole thing."
Well, the other thing is that I have worn jeans today that are way too tight, and I have suffered in silence up until
You need to stand up for the people whose pants are too tight. And I told you can pop a button. Like, we're not going to know. So,
oh my God,
look at the respect on you. Like,
can you imagine if I was sitting here with like
yeah, and then you take my eye out suddenly.
yeah. Oh, you know when you were younger and you'd invite people over and you have someone in your family who's just like, oh, I'm just gonna undo the top button at dinner. You'd be like, no, that's too shameful. Well, anyway, I kept my pants done up for you.
On. Thank you. That's nice to know. This is a respectful workplace. I will not be reporting you.
I think it would be highly inappropriate. We're too new as a business for you to be.
Sure. Well, as we're fading out, let's both unbutton the top.
You're going to add that to whatever the gossip that you're sharing
That's right.
about me.
I've been recording this the entire time. Like, I've had busy hands. Uploading it to my blog right now.
Listen, whatever you do, head along and see Annie's show. It's called
Annie Louey is Flirting with Death. It's on at Trades Hall as part of Melbourne Fringe from the 6th to the 14th of October.
And if you are not in Melbourne, check out whatever she tours with in future that does not involve giant sets.
Well, actually, Jennifer Wong and I are going to be in Adelaide near the end of the month doing the Oz Asia Comedy Showcase.
That's right. Yes, it's called the special
super comedy
show special.
Galas. Superstars.
It's got a lot of words in the title and I struggled. There it is, the special comedy special.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Check it out in Adelaide.
Her Majesty's Theatre. Very fancy.
Annie Louey, thank you so much as always.
Thank you, Joe Stanley.
And we'll be back with Broad Radio next Tuesday. We'll see you then.
To turn it on right, you're on fire, baby. Still drinking too much has got you